Should I change
Just
my...
when you thought it was over, we started it over. Just a different chapter, but still part of the story. Spirit of a patriot, but the heart of a soldier. If you wasn't part of the grind, you can't be part of the glory. We right here, we ain't going nowhere. It's your worst nightmare. We back and they all scared. Every year is our year. The defense is top tier. Whenever you see that red and blue, it's a new era. They too scared of us. I don't know who said it was over, but they lied. The truth never miss, kicking down the door like who let him in. We been grinding and we ain't worried about the small talk. We big timers.
Yeah, can't believe it, we ain't leaving. Yeah, we achieving, can't be beaten. See it loud, see it proud from the top of my lungs. Hometown, second crown, you ain't trying with us. All this time, you really can't deny. You can't run, you can't hide when the Patriot comes.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Patriots Friday Night Lights podcast, brought to you by the Boston Sports Entertainment Network. We have two special guests today, Jay Fudgy and Ty. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Lions, so we wanted to bring them on. I'll kind of let you guys introduce yourselves, so we'll start with Ty.
Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Ty. I was born and raised in West Michigan, about 150 miles from Detroit. Been a lifelong Detroit sports, especially Lions fan. I live in Lansing right now, but I was, born in Grand Rapids, and I try to do as many Detroit sports and Michigan State games as possible. I see the Block M over there, so we'll make it work today. But yeah, I'm happy to be on here. I'm glad you guys are having me, and yeah, let's talk football. Let's talk Ben Johnson. Let's go over all the good stuff.
Yep, my name's Jay Fudgy, or Joe, go by either or here. Born and raised in Michigan, over in Heartland Howell area, about an hour west of Detroit. Been watching Lions, watching Tigers, and watching Michigan sports my whole life. And yeah, Lions, excited about things going on, but same with Ty, just been watching them all my life.
Nice. So the reason we have you guys on is Ben Johnson's the hottest name in the head coaching market. Pats are scheduled to interview him on Friday. So we kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on him and what you guys have been hearing from him. We were kind of talking offline that he's a really huge piece, and you guys aren't really happy that he's going to be leaving, but we're pretty excited. It's either him or Mike Vrabel. So I think Vrabel was today. I haven't seen anything about them posting about completing their interview, but we know Ben Johnson's tomorrow. So those are our top two. So I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion on them.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just follow suit with how we did the introductions. Ben Johnson, I hear, a lot of good, mostly good things, coming from Lions talk about him. I hear the word TikTok coach being thrown around because, if you guys have followed the Lions all year, they find crazy ways to score points. So they're definitely entertaining to watch, but it's just crazy. Like, as a Lions fan, I will wish him nothing but the best. But, as of right now, it's not looking like we're going to retain him. We had the same conversation last year at the end of the season.
Right.
I'm thankful. I am thankful that he did come back for this year because obviously the Lions are cooking right now. I have high hopes for the postseason. But yeah, the guy has a lot to offer. He's got a playbook that is this thick. He's running, screens. He's running checkdowns. He's running offensive linemen, being eligible with Dan Skipper. Penei Sewell is lined up to receive a pass before. So the guy's got a playbook, this thick, like I said, and he will be an asset to whatever team he goes to. I know you guys are eyeing him hard, but, with all of he's a wanted man. So I hope for the sake of football and the sake of that guy's knowledge that he ends up in a place where he's appreciated, in a place that, he's going to have the tools like he does in Detroit to be able to, do good things for whatever team he ends up at.
Yeah. The big thing was, right, we just came from John Mayo, and one of my concerns was his leadership skills. Right, John Mayo cannot lead the locker room at all. Like, there's a report every single day about something that, he was like on the plane right after the Arizona game and was playing cards instead of watching film. So I kind of wanted to know if you guys heard anything about how Ben Johnson is able to like lead on the field. Yeah, it's hilarious now that the season's over. It's horrible when it
I
happens.
read it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get your guys' side on like how he's able to lead and how he's perceived by the players, because we just had like the worst one of all time.
Yeah, I'd say nothing but respect. I think that kind of feeds off of Dan Campbell too, but Dan Campbell's way of building teams has been either great minds or former players. And even going back to when we were a 3-13 team in his first year, I think the biggest thing you could tell is every player respects every coach on that team. You know, maybe Dan Campbell's just making it easier for all the other coaches, but I feel like Ben Johnson, especially with their offense, he gets trust of the players and he gets respect of the players, and he's definitely hard working because, as Ty said, it's not from lack of creativity. He's there. He's thinking up every possible thing. He said, our offense, because 3 years we've had him, we've gone from before him outside of top 20 on offense. We've been top 5 offense every year he's been with us. And from what I can see, because he took us from 5th offense to 1st offense in this couple of years, good's not good enough. He wants to be the best, and he wants to keep working and working. You know, we had a really good offense in 2022. We were, top 5, top 10. But he took that and said, I got to be more creative. I want to keep the defense off balance. And I think all the players, they just have full belief in him, and he has just gotten better and better. And also, Ty said, last year I think there were 4 or 5 teams trying to interview for him, and he said he was upset with losing in the championship game. He's coming back, and we'll see if he's right. But he said, I'm going to win a Super Bowl this year, and then I'll go leave, basically.
Yeah. Which I like that a lot. I like that he's coming with us with that championship mindset for sure.
Yeah, I got a close friend from Detroit, and I told him this a while ago. The thing with the Lions that I said that I liked years ago, that I even said they won on this trade, was the Stafford trade, because I never thought Jared Goff was a bad quarterback at all. So when he came with multiple first-round picks, I'm like, well, shit, if they do it right, it's gonna happen. And then it started out rough with Dan Campbell, but then as you can see, what you guys were at 8-2 over that last 10 games, coming out I think 2021. So once they hit that stride, I was like, and I told them going into last year, I said, listen, they're going to be there. They actually were my Super Bowl dark horse pick. I said Ravens and Lions before the year started, but they both lost in the championship game. But I don't know, I just like the team, and I feel like they have something a lot of teams don't have right now, and that's the continuity, that they're not moving on from guys. Like you say, your offensive coordinator decided to come back last year because he wanted to stay with the team. You still have the same quarterback, the wide receivers. So the more and more everybody's gelling together, all these other teams are losing offensive coordinators. They're losing weapons. You know what I mean? And I just like the unselfishness of the team, that since Dan Campbell has been there, it has been, that buy-in. And like I said, it is like, it's fun watching the Lions. I'm not gonna lie, I like watching them too, because like I said, all the little trick plays and everything. But in my opinion, you need to have that continuity for those things to go off scripted and things like that. So the way that they built that team out and just continues to keep it gelled in together, I like what I see. And honestly, I'm happy for y'all as a fan base. Honestly, even though we're in our dark ages now, I can take it on the chin, But definitely happy for you guys as a fan base, because I know it's been rough for a long time. So I'm definitely it's good for you guys. It's definitely good. Hopefully, a championship does come out of it, because it makes the NFL better as a whole. Because we're not only talking about these prominent franchises like the Green Bays and the New Englands of new, and the San Frans. I do want to see other franchises, get their slice of the cake too, because then that's the competitiveness in it. Yeah, we all like to see our teams win, but like I said, I just love the competitiveness of the sport. So I definitely love Detroit right now. And like I said, shout out to y'all, man. They doing their thing out there.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, Dog Nation, because you know what? there was always a guarantee of being a Lions fan growing up, and that was that there's a good chance you're going to be miserable.
Right.
We've had a lot of ups and downs. We've had the Charlie batches out there. We've had the 0-16s. It's been rough. And you know what? You talked about in 2022 when we finished up that last half of the season, looking great. And we actually, if Seattle would have lost that last game a couple years ago, we would have ended up in the playoffs. But if you go back and you talk about that buy-in mentality, the fact that Lions team, the way that they started a couple years ago, they went into Lambeau and they beat Green Bay the last game of the season, and that was Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay. And that was when I was like, all right. I was a little hesitant about Dan Campbell and the whole plan at first, but looking back on it, I'm like, Brad Holmes is a mastermind. He's doing everything right. He's making the right decisions. He's getting the pieces and he's putting them together. And that is, that buy-in mentality and that next man up mentality. And I think that Ben Johnson, brings a lot of that to the table. And, like what Jay Fudgy said, he's respected. The guys like him. And, we all have personal lives too. Sometimes you want to play cards. I've wanted to play cards before, whether in lieu of watching game film. I don't think that's really gonna, change his impact that he's gonna have as a coach wherever he ends up.
Yeah, Mayo. It's the context of how when he did it. You just got beat down in Arizona, and it was like that's coming out of a bye week. The team didn't look prepared, and you're sitting in the back playing cards with the players after a blowout like that. It's just like like I don't know if you see me like kind of like snapping on Twitter, because I ain't even gonna get too much into it, but ESPN, like I remember I told Brendan this a while ago, like, yo, he gets fired. I hope they don't try to make it a whole race thing. And then here it was, he gave Belichick grace. And I'm just like with some people,
right,
unless you're a fan of a team, you really, I would say you don't know the ins and outs, because like I said, I can tell y'all that I watch the Lions sometimes, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know more about your team because you live in the town. You understand what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure your algorithm pushes out everything that has to do with the team. Same here, but then we get to this main media. All they want to talk about is, they let him go after 1 year, and trying to make it everything that is not. And I'm just like, listen, that's why I said, listen, I'm a black man. It ain't had nothing to do with that. I'm telling you, it ain't had nothing at all to do with that. If you really realistically look at what was going on, players calling out other players, they're calling out coaches, owners calling out coaches. Like, it's just scapegoating to go around. It's just like, it was a bad product. And like I said, regardless of what the skin color was or whatever, it was a bad job. Like,
right. And like
what it was.
Yeah, you guys were saying with like Dan Campbell, his first year, he had 3 wins, but the team was able to stick with him. And like everyone in the entire league knew, like, you got to stick with this guy. You could see the passion. You could see the team was behind him. With Gerard, it was just so obvious how like dysfunctional everything was. Right? Reports were saying that even in the springtime, everyone on the team knew that like this was going to be a disaster. Like there was just no faith, and like it's just so obvious. And the difference with like Dan Campbell is like, right, he had the entire team behind him. He had the entire city behind him, and it was just so obvious the difference between them. So like it was getting frustrating. People were just saying like, oh, they should have given Gerard another year, and this is crazy that they did it so early. But like it was so obvious, and like that's like the biggest difference I've seen between you guys, and that's why I'm like really excited to interview Ben Johnson, because he was a part of that. And like the whole entire organization just seems like it was just made perfect, and Ben Johnson's been such a huge key for you guys.
Yeah, and the Brad Holmes thing, now that you bring it up, he does seem like a mastermind, because every decision that they said that he made that was dumb, it came back to, it bear fruit. Like I remember taking the running back and the linebacker in the first round. Everybody, look at it. You know what I mean? It looks pretty damn good. I mean, I think there was some backlash about the Jamison Williams pick, I think, around that time.
Jahmyr Gibbs too. That one. A lot of D minuses on that one.
That looks that looks good. Then you got a Sam Laporta coming in. So it's like, listen, man, some of the main media you got, they talk just to talk because maybe they're going off of what they see on paper, or maybe a guy got a face card. But like I always tell people, I'm the type of person I look at football through and through, as to where just because, let's just say realistically, a person is a linebacker doesn't mean that he's supposed to be able to come downhill and stop the run every time. He just might be too big to play safety. So you stick him in the middle of the field in a dime defense or something like that so he can cover. You don't compromise him as a football player. That's where good coaching comes in, man. Not trying to force something on somebody. Yeah, there's the developmental stage, but if you understand that that's not what you're getting out of a certain type of player, you have to put your players in the best type of situations to make these things happen. And like I said, when now you guys have that front office and that staff that could go out and scour that talent and put it in the right area and make it look like what it needs to do, like just like what it looked like this past weekend against Minnesota. There was no excuses about 14 players being out or anything like that. I couldn't even tell Aiden Hutchinson wasn't on the field. And that's what I can respect. That it wasn't nobody trying to hang their hat on. This is our second and third team defense because we want to continue to push this line. We want an excuse if we lose. No, if everybody on this team is bought in, next man up mentality is more than just words. So
right.
And when you have a coach like Dan Campbell, that you can tell he about what he says. He goes for it on fourth down, and maybe in some situations you would wish that he did it. But one thing you can respect is he remains the same.
He lives by the sword and dies by the sword. That's his policy.
The same person.
Mm-hmm.
The hell with it. He's trying to win. So that's what I said. Like, I hope we can get somebody like that to walk back into the door. But we'll see. It seems like we got Jerry Jones over here.
Yeah, with
have some Jerry Jones now, man.
Yeah, with Ben Johnson, kind of a big concern with going to the Patriots is there's obviously a huge roster difference in the offense. So that's always going to be kind of a concern with trying to get these new head coaches and where he's coming from. The best offense in the league, right? You guys are stacked everywhere. I kind of wanted to see what you guys have seen and like how you think it would translate to a far in like a way worse offense, just like roster wise.
Yeah, I can start on that. What I would say is I think he likes quarterbacks that have talent. Give him a quarterback with some talent. I think we saw a lot of what Drake May can do. A couple other teams in on him. Quarterbacks that have talent that are maybe in some rough situations right now would be Caleb Williams with the Bears and Lawrence with the Jags. I was thinking, honestly, Pats, Jags, Bears. I think he's going to one of those three. Because, as you guys said, Jared Goff's not a bad quarterback. When he came in here, Sean McVay in LA with the Rams, he gave up on him. He said, no, I don't want you. And he came over here, and it took a year or two. It wasn't right away. And when we started, Goff didn't have tons of weapons. Like his first year, we drafted this fourth round. It was a fourth round wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and had to develop him. But he's turned out to be pretty good. And it may be it's going to take a year or two to work into things. But I think if you give him some young weapons, he's going to be able to coach them up, get the strengths out of them, make them into good players, and he's going to help make your team, skill position wise into good players. And I know you got is it Ramondre Stevenson? I think you're running back. So you already got running back. He loves having good running backs, so that much is already there. But yeah, I think if you give him a good running back, good quarterback, he's going to be able to find talent at wide receiver. He's going to get it developed, and I think he's going to like something like that. So I really think Patriots would be one probably of his favorite potential fits if you guys don't go the Vrabel route, which I really think is you want to go offensive-minded head coach and defensive-minded head coach. They're polar opposites in that sense.
Yeah, we'll see which way the tea leaves go. If Robert Kraft is listening to the media or the Patriots is actually doing a real head coaching search, because I seen Aaron Glenn decline declined to have an interview with the team. So, I wonder what that's about. Not exactly sure.
Yeah, I thought it was a good shot. I wasn't really thinking it was going to be
I wouldn't mind it. Like I said, the variable thing, I am definitely on board with that too. But if this is what they're doing, then yeah, I respect it because obviously, I'm a big Bill guy. I love Belichick. Like I said, I wish things didn't turn out the way it is, but I don't own the team. But this is what they should have did last year. It should have opened up the door because considering that, I don't know. Like I said, you got rid of one person because they supposedly was the problem, and for whatever reason, you try to scrub the history from the building, but you were doing it with the same people that was working for this person. So how did you really, get rid of that problem? And again, we ended up bringing in bad receivers. So,
right. That's like Ben Johnson's about to go into this front office that we both agree is just terrible. So I'm interested to see how he would work with them. Right. You're saying he developed Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know how involved he was with like the draft process itself, but that's kind of like a big thing is we have an office that can't draft receivers. And Ben Johnson, part of his offense is receivers, right? Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, right? You guys have studs everywhere. So
even Tim Patrick this year, didn't really play a whole lot the last couple of years. He stepped up, and he's a vital part of this team as much as anybody else, really.
Hey, Reynolds was there last year, right?
Yeah, Reynolds has been a mainstay on the team. Yep. Special teams guy mostly, but we had some injuries a year or two ago. He came in quietly, had like 50 receptions, like 700 yards in the 22 season. Because JMO, we drafted him, but we drafted him hurt. We only got so much time in his first year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, I think you definitely got to draft some receivers, and they can't be total bust from at least what I can see. If you draft a receiver and he's got at least one thing he's really good at, like JMO, he's good at blowing the top off of defense and getting open. Amon-Ra, he doesn't drop passes. He's not the fastest guy in the world at all, but he is. Yeah, he's quick and he catches the ball.
He's consistent. And going back to what Jay Fudgy said about Reynolds too. Having Montgomery out right now, there's hopes of him coming back for the playoffs because he opted out of getting the knee surgery. But Reynolds has been getting some quality snaps too. He's been running the ball. He's been filling in. So Gibbs can get some breaks, and he's just there. He's a role player. He's part of the team, and he's doing what is asked of him. And that makes me thankful. That we have all these guys that are willing to step up when we do have, we've been burdened by injuries this year. So,
yeah, I'll say we got a handful of guys who probably no one's really even heard of outside of Lions fans, like Brock Wright, Craig Reynolds, Josh Reynolds last year. Like, you don't know these guys, but they go in, they've got some of the best rushing per attempt stats, some of the best catch rate stats. Like, he can, I truly think you give him just guys with some talent. Yeah, you might not get like a superstar level production out of him, but you may say, we got this whatever tight end, 80% of balls thrown to him are going to be catches, and he's going to catch 30 on the season with 5 touchdowns, and otherwise he'd be useless with a different coach. He will find talent out of whoever you give him. Yes, he still might want like a first or second round talent wide receiver there to have, a really good receiver to go along with a really good running back and a quarterback that can develop a lot. But if you give him enough, he's going to be able to find it. And exactly as Ty started off, he will find plays, he will find ways to get production out of an offense, and he is going to get better with them the more they get accustomed to his system.
Plus, you guys have this to your benefit a little bit. He was a grad assistant at Boston College, so he's familiar with the East Coast. He's familiar with that area. He might still have connections in the Boston area, and that might be one of the reasons or one of the factors that he wants to come back and take over New England. So I'm just throwing that out there. But
yeah, because the big thing with why I think New England is going to be the best location for all these head coaches is Drake May. Drake May seems to be the biggest attraction. He's looking like he's going to be a stud. That's what I'm most excited for is how he's going to use Drake May. Because like a big thing that have been happening in these games is that we're not doing any like QB, run plays. Like he's just kind of scrambling, doing his own thing. These are all off script. So I'm interested to see how he would bring that into the table, because Drake May at one point in the season was on pace to pass Mike Vick for most rushing yards per attempt, which is like insane for like this rookie who just came in. I think he still finished with like 400 something yards, and he only played in like 11 games. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how he would handle Drake May. Right, Jared Goff is more of a pocket passer. Right, he doesn't really scramble all too much. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that'll be like a whole new thing for him to kind of toy with, and I think that's why he's gonna want to come here.
Goff is one of the best original pocket passers that left in the league right now.
Yeah.
I feel like the quarterback game has really changed in the league over the last few years. We don't have the Breezes anymore. We don't have like, a lot of those guys that, they were strictly pocket passers, and you know what, we are, but Johnson will work with whatever talent he has, just like what Jay Fudgy said. And, yeah, he'll be a great asset, and he'll find ways to win with the guys that he has. With that being said, Kraft is going to really have to, do some numbers in the draft and over the next couple of years if they are going to build up what he needs to, be successful. So
yeah, I got two things. Who do you feel like would step up if Ben Johnson was to leave? And now you guys need a new offensive coordinator. Who do you think that would be?
Well, that's the nice thing about Brad Holmes is I trust him. So, like, whatever happens, over the coming months after the season and whatever, I know that he's going to go out and he's going to get a guy that's going to – it may not totally, fill Ben Johnson's footsteps, but – he's going to get a guy that's going to go out there and want to win and buy into the culture that has been built in Detroit under Campbell, Holmes, everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be one of two things. He's either going to pull one of the assistant coaches up to a head coaching spot. I originally thought it was going to be Hank Fraley, our O-line coach, but now I'm hearing he as well is getting contacted by teams for offensive coordinator jobs. My hope is we hold on to him here and say, hey, Hank, you're going to be our new OC. But as I said, I trust Brad Holmes has not made a bad decision outside of like a 6th or 7th round pick. And at 6th and 7th round picks, you're flipping the coin.
Right.
There's no consistent way there. You're just taking a shot on someone. And if it sticks, it sticks. But he's been just about perfect on everything. So whether it's promoting one of our assistants up to head coach or offensive coordinator, or going out, bringing a guy in, I'll trust his decision until he gives me a reason not to.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I was going to say, which I found kind of interesting about Ben Johnson too, maybe part of the reason he's able to be so creative and be so successful is over his career of coaching in the NFL before he was an offensive coordinator. He has been a wide receivers coach, a tight ends coach, and a quarterbacks coach at different times, different teams. So he's got experience coaching each of those individual groups. And I've got to imagine, getting 8 years of coaching those 3 different skill groups has got to help him with now being an offensive coordinator, understanding each individual role a little bit more. And the crazy thing is he's only 38 too. With all this, coaching experience in the NFL, over a decade of it, he's got a mind. Because, I don't think someone gets brought into the NFL as a coach in their late 20s unless someone sees something crazy in it. Like, and it wasn't like, he was a assistant. No, he was like wide receivers coach, quarterbacks coach in his, late 20s, early 30s. And that's just unheard of for a coach in the NFL. Like college, sure. NFL, not really.
Yeah, which I like a lot about him, that he's young, right? We can kind of hold him on for a while. But just with your guys, just in the whole coaching staff, like you're seeing the offensive line coach is getting, trying to get interviews or whatever, right? This seems like this is going to be the year for teams to want to get those coaches, because, right, this is going to be the Super Bowl year, right? They're going to be, the most sought after coaches ever, right? And then next year, if you guys don't make it, if you do a little bit worse, they're going to be less of a commodity. So this is kind of the year for, every single position coach and whatnot on your team to get interviews. So it might be a little scary at first just to kind of see all these interviews kind of happening. And you're like, why is anyone even asking for this guy? Like, no one was talking about him, and now he seems to have like 5 interviews. So kind of curious on what you guys' opinions are on like all these different interviews being asked for your coaches.
I will say one thing real quick as well, because I know it was mentioned earlier. Forgot to speak on it, but with Holmes, or I'm sorry, not with Holmes, Aaron Glenn, our DC. I know turning down the interview. I think he already had like 6 scheduled, and my guess, because I think the Patriots coaching job kind of seemed like a 2-horse race already between either Johnson or Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is he said, I've already got the playoffs I'm going for. I've already got 6 head coaching interviews for different teams scheduled. My guess is that's probably a decent reason as to why he turned it down. He's like, I've already got so many spots, and you guys, you look like out of all the teams that really need a quarterback have probably the best situation already, to where I think you're probably a coin flip between the two is what that's my guess at least.
Mm-hmm.
What would you guys like? I know I just kind of get the vibe between talking to both of you that you want Ben Johnson, and who wouldn't, How would you guys feel about Vrabel coming in lieu of Ben Johnson? Like, what do you think the direction he would take New England in?
Honestly, I'm kind of leaning more in that direction, but it's just like I said, I just want the team to be fair and not lock horns on, because Vrabel is a good coach, but at the same time too, if there is somebody that's more qualified for it, then yeah. Which actually, I'm glad that you asked that, because I was sitting here thinking, the report came out that Alex Van Pelt was fired, but it only came from one person, so it still makes me wonder. They haven't came out and said nothing about AVP yet, because my opinion, maybe they're thinking about retaining him as the quarterback's coach and keeping him around because they're feeling like he played a big part in the development this past year of Drake May. So if they're doing that, then I would think they're leaning towards Vrabel. But like I said, honestly, between both of them, I wouldn't have a problem with either or. But like I said, I just think the team is giving out that fair chance and not giving sham interviews, everything else, because it's like it's a black eye on the franchise already. So it's like you guys ain't even in no position to even say that you can do even no sham interviews or anything like that, because the dynasty days are over. Understand what I'm saying? Like this needs to be all right. Bill's pushed out. There's no more Brady there. Kraft, it's your show now. Stop. He's looking real Jerry Jones-ish, and at the same time, he's trying to get into the Hall of Fame. So it would be wise for the Patriots to play ball and do their homework like everybody else, instead of keep trying to, we're gonna find our next master talent. Our roster isn't that bad. Our front office isn't that bad. We just don't got the head coach. No, we didn't have the head coach. We have the roster. But okay, now we got the quarterback, and I just don't want to be that team. And then you start messing on things in the draft where it's like, okay, you see this 22-year-old kid, he looks so good, but then at the same time, you're neglecting to get him weapons, because maybe he might end up in a Josh Allen type situation. For years, you drug him. Stephon Diggs came in, and now look, he's basically, dragging him again. So it's like all that stuff looks good when it comes to stats and everything else, but talking about winning a championship, that roster needs to be built out correctly, and that's what I'm saying. The Patriots, be fair, every coaching candidate they're thinking about bringing in.
Right. Yeah. And like with context, right, with Gerard Mayo, we didn't have an interview process because he was handpicked 5 years before Brady left or Bill left. So I was hoping to be able to interview Aaron Glenn just to get a little bit more people in there. But like right now, I think I'm leaning more towards Vrabel, and I think that's just coming from a Patriots bias, to be honest. But I like the culture that he brings. I think that's kind of a big thing that our team has been lacking, is some sort of identity and culture. So I kind of wanted to get you guys on to see what kind of culture Ben Johnson would bring. You guys kind of brought that up earlier, so that makes you feel a little bit better about him. But I'm definitely okay with either one. But I would say right now more Vrabel, just because he has that Patriot background, but then he has experience, and that was something that Gerard Mayo lacked. and even Kraft said it in the interview or his press conference after he fired him, was that he wasn't ready, right? He didn't have enough time, and that's what Vrabel brings, is a lot of experience. But kind of like what Jay Fudgy was saying earlier, right? This isn't the only thing that Ben Johnson has done. He's coached basically every single position in the entire offense. So he kind of comes in with a ton of experience, and he's only 38 years old. So that's definitely intriguing as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing with Mayo too, obviously there was a lot of, locker room issues, a lot of respect issues, and, just player talent pool in general. But the biggest thing, that Patriots, you guys can probably agree to this, but you guys are just used to being up there in the ranks of the top in the NFL, and you're testing new waters now that you're not familiar with. And I feel like we as a society just desire gratification, like instant gratification. So I think that was a big thing of why he got, essentially, pushed out, let go, other than the other things. But, fans were just seeking this instant gratification from this guy, and, he lacked the experience and things didn't work. But I hope that whatever coach you guys do bring in, that, it might take a few years. It might take a few years to build this back up. I'm hoping that the fans in general are patient with the process, because that's what we as Lions fans had to endure. We had to, we had a lot of question marks. We got rid of Stafford, and Stafford was our guy. He was our guy. We were riding him till the end. And when all those changes happened, we just kind of stuck it out and let the plan unfold. And that's what, you guys as Patriots fans are going to have to, you're going to have to see that in the next couple of years and just be patient with the process. But I think both Ben Johnson and Vrabel will, in their respective, categories, I think they will at least bring something positive in comparison to what you guys have had the last few years.
Right. And with
nonsense with Belichick and all the distractions.
And with Mayo, there really wasn't anything that he was bringing that wanted, that made Kraft want to keep him, right? Like with Dan Campbell. Right, he brought a culture. You could tell that the team was behind him. Right, he was bringing something to the table. Where Gerard, there really wasn't anything special that he was doing, and I think that's why it was so rushed to get rid of him, because the season was obviously declining. I think the record was obviously a part of it, but I think the big thing was that there wasn't really anything positive or special that he was kind of bringing to the table, besides the fact that the players had fun around him, which clearly didn't matter. But I think that's something that I'm hoping that one of these coaches will bring, is something new to the table, something special about them that we can see that's positively, affecting the team.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I just hope they open up a fair, give everybody a fair chance. And like I was telling you, those teams that had the 2 first-round picks over the last couple of years and were able to rebuild, Detroit, Houston, Seattle, a couple, Minnesota, and I felt like that's what the Patriots needed, but now they no longer have the number 1 pick in the draft. So, for us, I kind of feel like, I don't know if we're in a position where we might end up overdrafting the player, because offensive line is the clear pick there. But, would Ford be too rich for a Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks? Probably. He'd probably be about 5 or 6 picks too rich, but they need it. So,
yeah. And where you guys know Ben Johnson, if you were Ben Johnson with the Patriots, what would be your first pick, just knowing how he likes to run his offense? Would you guys go lineman? Would you guys go receiver?
I would personally go receiver, because he's going to develop. Okay. He's going to continue to develop, May. And I would go receiver, because he's got weapons, in Detroit. And it helps him, all these crazy plays that he's running, all the, I don't know how many highlights. I know that Dog Nation was talking about that, you've enjoyed watching the Lions this year, but they're just fun to watch. They have a high-powered offense. They're fun to watch. So it's not gonna take one particular person, I don't think, that's gonna make an immediate impact. But if he's getting the guys if you had to choose first, I would go receiver personally. But That's just
Yeah, I'd say it really depends. If there's a good receiver there, go for him. But at the same time, he wants a good O line. I mean, Lions have had top 3 O lines every year that he's been there. So if they think the best pick there is lineman, you're going to need a lineman at some point to really push that line. Top 10, top 15, you probably got to be at least for his liking. And at the same time, whether it be this coming up draft or the next one, you got to get a top tier receiver or someone that maybe they want to wait till second or third round that they think that Ben Johnson can develop into a top receiver. But they're definitely going to need to look a receiver early, for sure, and also a tight end. Because I tell you, Sam Laporta, the second he got on this team, it feels like the offense got just that little bit higher level of dynamic. I would say.
I want to give you guys context, though.
Yeah.
We have the worst offensive line in human history. So I'm more offensive line, pro, but it's really, really bad. But because I know we're talking about free agency, trying to get T. Higgins and stuff, but that's kind of where I'm hoping is get T. Higgins and draft an O-line. Just because I know the Lions have an incredible offensive line, and I think that's kind of where everything starts. And like you said, with Ben Johnson, he's having offensive line, out wide and in the slot and, motioning and stuff. So I personally think, try to get more off the offensive line and then just try to get a free agent receiver because we can't draft receivers for the life of us. So there's a lot of context with how bad our, offensive line is and drafting.
Yeah, I will say one more note on Ben Johnson is he loves play action pass. So if you get the run game going and can give your quarterback time playing or throwing off a play action, he feasts off that. I know Lions, I think, have the 27th lowest rate of passing. So basically they run the ball just about more than anybody else in the league. It's pretty close to a true 50-50. So if you can run the ball effectively, get a line that can get Stevenson pushing 100 yards every game, and then be able to play action pass, take the top off of defense, keep them off balance. He loves keeping defenses off balance. I think he'd like that. And also that's another thing, if they say right now, rather than getting a first-round receiver, go out and give T. Higgins what he wants to come there, that could work too. Nothing wrong with that. So, whatever they do, they will need to add a little bit of talent. Because there are, you got the quarterback, you got the receiver. That's good. You still will need a little bit more. You can only work miracles with at least a little bit of something.
Right. They have better chances of it landing offensive talent, especially if that's the side of the ball that they want to bolster. Then, Ben Johnson would be the good pick there because you can bring in another defensive coordinator, somebody that maybe has more experience than him. But like McVay did with Wade Phillips. When Wade Phillips came in, obviously Wade Phillips was the grandfather of it, but he knew he can run the defense, while McVay kind of focused on what was his forte, the offense. And, everything came to fruition from there. So I think bringing Ben Johnson in would bring us a lot more value as far as free agents that's looking for some place to go because they see the Detroit offense. He definitely gives the vibe that is he has that ability to win. And honestly, he's outside of New England. So he may have other connections because that's the main problem with a lot of guys that come from coaching trees or anything like that. We don't have those relationships around the league to to bring in other guys like, hey, I got a job opening here. Can we bring it in? It's always promote from within. And when all these guys just was getting picked off of our tree, Bill never really replaced a lot of his executive guys and things like that. So, and that's what it came down to. So if they hire Ben Johnson, great. He comes from outside of New England, and he's probably going to want another front office anyway. So
right, I was wondering what he would bring.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I was curious about what he would bring. Right, right. Maybe he wants a whole new front office. He wants his own offensive coordinator, his own quarterback coach. I don't know because he's been with the Lions his whole career, right, in the NFL, or has he been with other teams?
Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
He was at Miami from 2012 to 2018.
Miami.
And then he got hired in as a quality control specialist in 2019 in Detroit. And then he worked his way up to wide receivers coach and then offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so I wonder, right, he's been with multiple teams. He probably has a ton of connections. So I'm assuming he's going to bring a whole team with him. I don't know if he's been, being an offensive coordinator, if he's brought in anyone just being in that position. But, there's I'm sure there's going to be a lot of changes if we sign him.
He's gonna have guys that are gonna want to play for him, like you said too. So that you'll have that to your benefit.
Yeah, because realistically, the Patriots have shown that they can be a top 10 defensive unit year in, year out, whether you want to attribute that to Belichick or not. The offense has been a problem the last couple of years, so the Ben Johnson thing would, I think, significantly change the view on that side of the ball because you would have guys in the building that understands that importance of, hey, we can't just stick any guy at left tackle, or, the slot receiver needs to be more important within the offense because we need to, for whatever the philosophy is, however they want to stretch it and maximize it. That's why I said the Vrabel thing, and probably I'm leaning towards him, honestly, because out of bias, just because he's a former player, I'm going to be completely honest. But like I said, I wouldn't sit here and scoff at if they got Ben Johnson. I wouldn't be sitting there like, oh, well, why didn't they hire Vrabel? Like, I'd be like, well, hell yeah. Because now it's about maximizing Drake May. That's the message it was sent to me. That's the message it was sent to me as a fan, is they're about to maximize Drake.
Well, I'm looking forward to following, the traction or the developments that come along in the front office there. And then, maybe we can talk about it after all that goes down again too. So
for sure.
Yeah, and I will say as well, if Ben Johnson goes in, as you guys said, he probably, although maybe he wants to get even better and just completely learn how to be a defensive coach too, my guess is he'll probably find a guy he trusts to be a defensive coordinator and kind of have them run the defense, and he would kind of run the offense. That'd be my guess. Although I will say, Vrabel's, of course, got his benefits. He may have an offensive guy he wants to run the offense, and Vrabel's shown plenty that he can be an outstanding defensive coach. So he may be able to come in and work some magic. Absolutely. I think either guy is going to be a great hire. And I will say, if you do want T. Higgins, having Ben Johnson come in and say, hey, T, I ran the #1 offense last year. I want you to be our main piece of receiver. We got a running back. We're going to bolster up the O-line.
True.
You may just be able to win him over. Just say, hey, look what I've done. My track record proves itself. Look at these receivers. Look what I turned Amon-Ra into. Jameson Williams had a 1,000-yard season this year coming off of some injuries for his first year or two and suspensions and all that. He could convince T to say, hey, this is the situation you want to be in. I think that could be one big upside. But at the same time, if you want defensive pieces, Vrabel could probably have a very good chance of bringing in just about any defensive guy he wants. I have to see. I can't remember if he has 1 year left or not, but Micah Parsons would be a crazy addition for any defense.
Oh, yeah.
He's either free agency this year or next, but I would see a very high chance of Vrabel being to pull someone like Micah Parsons possibly.
Right.
So
yeah.
Each coach coming in's got a chance to bring in a game changer.
Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
Speaking of Michael Parsons, he actually was just on the TV screen not too long ago. I have to ask you guys this just because I have to. Give me a game pick tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State.
I'm going to say Notre Dame just because James Franklin's going to show his true self, which is mediocrity and not being able to finish games. So my pick is Notre Dame.
Yeah, I got to go with Ty. He has won a couple games.
I see that big impact there. I know what's going on. I see that big impact there. But all seriously,
I might be a little biased. A little bit.
I feel you.
Yeah, I got some. Penn State is the champion of going 10-2, but losing to Michigan and Ohio State every year.
Yep.
So,
right.
Yeah,
that's usually what happens.
They consistently underperform more than any other team in the Big Ten. Like for what talent pool and recruiting they have there.
Oh, they have great talent on that team.
Yeah.
Make it easy.
Yeah, I live in Pennsylvania, so I'm pretty familiar. I really don't care for them. No. I just moved here. But yeah, they're Penn State. They have small, twitchy, athletic guys. They the reason why they can't keep up with Ohio State and Michigan is because of physicality. That is simply it. Michigan got guys that are fast and they're aggressive. They're aggressive. Ohio State, not so much, but they're more aggressive than Penn State. But we'll see with Ohio State too, because even them, I feel like they're a little overrated in their own ways too.
Well, if you guys ever want to get on here and talk college ball, we can do that too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on draft content.
Yeah.
Like for fucking. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have you guys on, after the season and kind of see where everything lays. And if we have Ben Johnson, right, we can just talk more about Ben Johnson. I have a feeling if it's between Ben Johnson and Vrabel, we'll know by the weekend. So I think it'll be kind of quick. But well, thanks for coming on, you guys. I don't know if you have any questions for us, but this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to talking ball again sometime. And I think it'll be a good time. So.
Definitely. Like I said, you done already gave me the green light to call on you in the draft content and everything.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, man, I'm trying to get out there and do some more collaborations, and
sure.
I enjoy getting away from the everyday stresses of life and talking about sports, and this is a big hobby of mine. So
yeah, so we'll get along perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, you can reach out whenever. So.
Oh yeah, same here. As long as I'm free, I'll be able to hop on and for a little bit and talk. I'll say anything NFL and MLB. You give me
we can talk
baseball
all day too.
I'm
a big
sports
Tigers fan, so.
Oh yeah, I can't do it anymore. But last year I did a little Tigers trip, basically around the country. Went to just shy of 110 games last year. I was just going around cities.
Nice.
Yep, got to see Fenway too. Fenway was awesome. It was kind of cool. I had a coworker at the time, and her husband is one of the executives for season ticket holders with the Red Sox.
Wow.
So I got to go sit on the Monster for a game.
That's awesome.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I went to Fenway in 21, and it was probably the most memorable experience I've had. So.
It is such a cool stadium. I love Comerica Park, but man, Fenway is cool.
Yeah, we used to be a baseball state or, kind of region. So, yeah, Fenway is like the staple of New England. Right? That's been around for forever. Yeah, I love Fenway. It's definitely the best.
I will say one other thing that's funny is every report I'm hearing is there's 2 teams left in on Alex Bregman, and it's Boston and Detroit. Those are the 2 teams left I'm hearing. It's either Bregman's going to go to Boston and play second base because he said he'd be okay doing that, or he's going to go to Detroit and play third.
Hey,
no one knows though.
We need to pay Scooble too. We got him for one more year to avoid arbitration, but we gotta give that guy some long-term money. So we can talk about that though.
Yeah. Hey, since we're still on, I got one more wild thing to say, just to stir up something, because I feel like stirring up something. What if the Patriots go hire somebody from the Celtics front office to come in and be the GM?
Brad Stevens. Give me Brad Stevens. I'll follow that man to the end of the earth.
Do you think it would matter how much football knowledge they know? Or
Don't care. Don't care. Brad Stevens is the man.
But all right, guys, it was definitely fun talking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, guys. I had a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing this again sometime. So
yeah, for sure. Like I said, you guys both got my handle. Like I said, we'll definitely be talking again soon.
For sure.
Sounds good to me.
Good luck in the playoff, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys about that.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. It's right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.
Okay, do you feel like the talent you have here is good enough?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati.
What is your responsibility?
I'm just asking, do you think you've done enough to help Tom Brady?
We're getting ready for Cincinnati. Stupid thing.